and then the college operates the theater, and it's a performing arts venue for them, for their programs. It might become like a practicum or experiential learning opportunity for the business students also, because there could be, accounting that's undertaken and facility management. The community players, for instance, if this was an LLC and those 3 entities were participants in it, the community players, by virtue of being a participant, would have access to it, up to the building for their performances. The college may be able to put on some events, could be movies. The rec department has put on some movies here recently that have been family oriented. I mean, that could occur also in the Ritz, and the college may be able to coordinate that. And essentially, by working with them, we've got this other resource that we can use to put on events and create activity downtown. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about it is it creates activity on that end of Main Street. Yeah. And you've got bookends essentially. A couple other projects, and I want to get Wayne's take on this. I felt like we would need to get county buy-in, and so some of the investment would have to directly benefit the county. Well, could a couple of the projects be one, a new use in the old library? There's been a lot of debate about what that building could be used for. There were some concepts with museum space, or like a facility that could be used when they're trying to recruit economic development prospects that showcase the county. I mean, something that, is somewhat of an attraction that creates traffic downtown, because it's a great building. That could be a project. They did a super job, I think, on the inside of the community hall, renovating it. And it may end up being $100,000. It's amazing how these projects, the expenses, Barbara's probably experiencing that in her building, just stack up. I know Nisi experienced it, but with the grounds of the community hall, where a really cool public space was created in the front of the building. You preserve the kind of historic character of it, but you create, that cobblestone right now, it's just not real functional. There's only so much you can do on it. People turn their ankles. It's
interesting looking at the historical pictures of the old courthouse, because there used to be parking in front,
parking.
And then it got all closed off. So, I mean, that might be another place where I would love to see the ginkgo trees replanted, that were cut down years ago.
Absolutely.
But just on the side, I mean, I think there's a lot of good ideas as far as promotions go and beautification of the city, and I'd love to see all that happen. Although it seems like we have a lot of businesses right now who economically can't really survive in the climate the way it is. So since you're connected with utilities as well, is there a possibility of getting residential rates or reduced rate for businesses who are supporting by being in the historic district, which would give immediately more profit to all the businesses downtown and make it easier for people to survive here in the climate that's here?
There you go. Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Let me look.
We got $500,000 for beautification. It would make sense to just help us make it through the recession where it is.
Yeah.
Because here's the point.
You really have to support your merchants in order to keep business. You keep the merchants open. Mm-hmm. You don't have merchants. Why do people want to come to Newberry?
If it's pretty but nobody's here,
exactly.
Why is it good to be beautiful?
You've got to put in place something that's going to give the merchants a break. And I hate that I'm new here, and then I'm hearing all these tales that so-and-so's going out of business, they're going to close after the first of the year. What do you think that does for me? I really hate to hear those things. And I'm a native of Newberry. I grew up in Newberry. I think Newberry is one of the prettiest little towns in the state. But you have to do something for your merchants. You have to come up with a better plan to help your merchants stay in business.
Because we pay for everything. We pay the TIF tax, even though we already is supposed to help to reconstruct a blighted area. I already put the money into the building. I already did my share of reconstruction to a blighted area. Then we pay the hospitality tax. Then we pay, but we're not getting anything back for this. We pay everything it takes to run the downtown, but we are not seeing any kind of advantage for doing that. No incentive, no gratitude, no nothing for having us here. We're just used as money pumps. And when they do it with the electricity too, it's like, oh my God, you got to give us a break somewhere.
Yeah,
we cannot finance the entire
they're
downtown.
They're not insulated, and you're going to use more electricity. And in the line of business I'm in, and I knew this going in, I've got 2 big ovens over there pulling a lot of electricity. I've got 2 big coolers pulling a lot of electricity. I've got a huge 2 freezers pulling a lot of electricity.
And a 7% increase in 1 year is huge.
It is. It is. And I just think the city could do a better job of working with their merchants and coming up. All these programs you're talking about are wonderful, and I would back every one of them. But you've got to help me first. You have got to come across and help me first. You should show me that I mean something to this city, that my business means something to this city. Give me an incentive to stay here. If you don't give me that incentive to stay here, then if my business is doing well enough, I might just put it on the block and go to another city, a city that will help me, that takes interest in my business and wants to see me prosper, which in turn makes the city prosper.
It's not, we don't feel the partnership with the city. We have invested everything and are willing to do it, but we're not seeing that we're getting help back, or even, we don't know help. We want to partner together to grow it together so that everybody succeeds.
Yes.
Okay.
We're in it alone.
I'm sorry.
You know, I've seen a few things. My business, unlike the Opera House, is local.
Yes.
Mine too.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Was.
I think you got a great opportunity with his magazine. You could possibly, you're talking about doing promotions and ventures. Buy some ad space. That helps him. It promotes downtown. Potentially he could run an article or two. His magazine goes out 6 times a year. He could go through the list. You know, this time we're gonna do a feature on Books on Main.
A city-sponsored
Yeah,
business. I like it. That's a great idea.
Or run an article in his magazine. Another great venture that I think of, before you go out of town and run things in the state paper and try and pull people from out of town, I think it's great. But you better get your locals first.
Amen.
Because your locals are heading out of town.
Okay.
Jimmy Coggins. There are 3 forms of advertising I found to be the best in this town. WKDK and Robert's Magazine. Those are my two best. If anyone ever asks me about anything, I've used them all. I don't use the paper. Hate it, but I don't. The 2 best forms of advertising I have are him, WKDK, and word of mouth. And those are your 3 best. And I don't care what kind of business you run. I've been in business 20 years now. I started 3 months after I graduated from Newberry College. Started from nowhere, and it's all word of mouth and that. And I found those are the 3 best avenues. Get with Jimmy. He runs a coffee hour. You're going to promote things and do promotions. Get your local people first.
Yes.
Work something out with Jimmy with the coffee hour, just like with this. If he does Books on Main this week, maybe Jimmy, this week he'll do Carolina Gifts or something. Have her come in and speak for 5 or 10 minutes. Best ad I've ever ran. I did a 20-year anniversary, and I went in, wrote a piece of paper, wrote in. He copied me. Best ad and best response I've ever had. Those things will get your locals.
Okay.
I think those are 2 of your better forms. Plus, more people get the magazine out of town than what you think. Everybody comes through, picks up an article.
It's got shelf life too. I mean, it's.
Well, they'll come through, pick up a magazine out of here, and they'll look through and say, oh, okay, thrift stores mentioned in here, and they got an article. Well, let's go see what that place is about. That's how you promote.
Well, you know, I think that would work, and I remember, I think Amy Talbot was the head of the Newberry Downtown Merchants Association at that time, but I know we block granted the association some money to do like a Merchant of the Month ad series. I know it was on KDK, but I think that would be a really effective way to implement what you're talking about.
Where did that program go?
I guess when NDMA stopped, being really active, was when it ended. But I mean, I think we could definitely make that work.
Well, I just think those are 2 great forms. You've got, a gym with WKDK being here, and if you want it known, you put it on there, and people hear about it, then they'll talk about it. And then you've got his magazine, which is a great avenue also. Get with him, and you could run a feature in there.
I could match you on that too. Like if you wanted to do like a special section on Newberry, for every page you bought, I'd give you a page. So
we
Awesome.
50-50.
So like we could do a 4-page section in each issue and highlight several things.